Okay, think about the first 10 minutes of your day. You get in the car, and your phone just connects.
Right.
Your music starts playing right where you left off. You walk into the office, you pop in your earbuds, and they're already talking to your laptop.
It's seamless. We don't even call it technology anymore. It's just supposed to be there, like oxygen.
Exactly. We only notice it when it's broken.
Hmm.
But we're looking at a stack of documents today that suggests this digital oxygen we breathe might actually be toxic.
Mm-hmm.
We are doing a deep dive into a really breaking situation out of Denmark. And honestly, it's one of the wildest tech meets spy thriller stories I have seen in a long time.
It really is, because usually, when we talk about a big cybersecurity story, it's about a patch or some hackers in a basement or phishing emails.
Yeah, don't click the link.
Right, don't click the link. We aren't usually talking about a major Western government effectively banning a core technology for its entire public sector.
And that's not an exaggeration. As of January 2026, the Danish government, specifically its Defense Intelligence Service, have issued a directive that just unplugs Bluetooth.
And the scope of this thing is what just stops you in your tracks.
It's not just don't use it for top secret meeting.
No. This is for the Danish National Police, the military, civil servants, and it covers all of their territory. So Denmark, proper, and this is crucial, Greenland.
We are absolutely going to get to Greenland because that is a whole geopolitical drama in itself. But just sticking with the scope for a second. State-issued devices, fine, I get that.
Sure.
But it also covers your personal phone, if you have it on you at work.
Which is a massive, massive escalation. Just think about what that means. You're a police officer in Copenhagen. You've got your secure radio, of course. But you also have your personal iPhone in your pocket, for checking the weather or telling your partner you'll be late. This order says if that phone is on your person in a secure area, its Bluetooth has to be completely off.
And they are not being shy about why. Usually, these agencies love vague language.
Yeah.
Heightened threat environment or something like that.
Oh, yeah.
But here, they name names.
They did. The Danish Defense Intelligence Service, the Forsvarets Efterretningstjeneste, they cited a high risk of surveillance. And then they pointed the finger directly at the capabilities of United States intelligence.
Okay, just pause on that for a second. This is Denmark, a NATO member, a close U.S. ally. And they are ripping out their own tech infrastructure because they're afraid the NSA is listening in through their AirPods.
That's the headline. And to really get why they're so terrified, we have to sort of peel back 3 different layers.
Okay.
First, there's the tech itself, the actual flaw that makes this possible. Then there's the map, the geopolitics of the Arctic. And finally, this bigger crisis in Europe about something they're calling digital sovereignty.
Right. Let's start with the tech, because I think for most of us, Bluetooth feels safe because it's so short range. You'd think a hacker would have to be, sitting in the backseat of your car to get in.
That's the old way of thinking, security by proximity. But the directive from the Danish National Police's IT department just throws that whole idea out the window. They didn't say be careful.
No.
They said disable it until corporate IT announces otherwise.
That phrase, until otherwise announced, it's doing a lot of heavy lifting there. It sounds like they don't have a fix.
They don't. And that's because this isn't some simple software bug. This goes to the heart of how our devices decide to trust each other. The big fear here is something called silent pairing.
It sounds like a ghost story.
It basically is a ghost story for your phone. You know how convenient fast pair is.
Oh, yeah, I love it. I bought new headphones last week, opened the case near my phone, and boom, a little card pops up. Connect. It's brilliant.
It is brilliant user experience, but it's a security nightmare. That convenience, which, Google really pushed, but it's everywhere now, it relies on the device just constantly broadcasting its existence. It's shouting into the void, here I am, connect to me.
So it's like walking into a crowded room and just yelling your social security number, hoping only your friend hears it.
That's not a bad analogy. Or walking in blindfolded and just trusting that the hand that grabs yours belongs to a friend. The specific vulnerability that the Danish tech site radar.dk found involves something called the Airoha Bluetooth Audio SDK.
Okay. And Airoha is part of MediaTek, right? The chips are in everything.
Everything. High-end gear, cheap knockoffs, millions and millions of devices. And the SDK, the software development kit, is the code that tells the headphones how to talk to the phone.
It's the instruction manual.
Exactly. And the flaw in this manual allows for an attack that completely bypasses user confirmation. Remember that pop-up you mentioned? Do you want to connect?
Yeah, of course. I had to physically tap connect. That's a security layer.
This vulnerability allows an attacker's device to essentially tell your phone, oh, he already tapped. Yes.
Wait, so I don't touch anything.
You don't touch a thing. The attacker's device pretends to be your headphones and it pairs silently. All of a sudden, your phone thinks it's sending your music to your earbuds.
But it's not.
It's streaming your phone's live microphone to a receiver in a van down the street.
Oh my God, that turns your phone into a hot mic. A bug.
It turns it into a broadcast microphone.
Yeah.
And the phone has no idea it's been compromised. It just thinks it's doing its job perfectly.
Which explains why the directive says you can't just disconnect. You have to power the device completely off.
Right. That's the protocol for their high security zones. Because even an unpaired device, if its firmware is old, it can be forced into pairing mode.
So if the chip has power, it's a liability.
That's the assessment. They're worried about these zero-click exploits where the device just has to be on to be a target.
I can't even imagine the disruption. There's a report from Engineering, that's a Danish engineering paper, about the immediate fallout in these offices.
It's chaos. I mean, think about a modern office. Everything is wireless. You're pacing around on a Teams call. You're using a wireless mouse.
Your smartwatch is tracking your steps.
And then, overnight, IT comes in and tells you to plug everything back in. It's a massive regression. People are scrambling for old wired headsets, tripping over cables. It sounds trivial, but for the police or military, that kind of friction is a real problem.
But it's friction they are choosing to accept, which tells me they don't think this is a theoretical threat. They think this is happening right now.
That's the only logical conclusion. You don't set your own house on fire over a maybe. And that brings us to the timing question. Why now? Why January 2026? These vulnerabilities aren't brand new.
And this is where the story pivots from a tech problem to a geopolitical crisis. We have to talk about Greenland.
The world's largest island, and probably the most strategic piece of real estate in the entire Northern Hemisphere.
It's an autonomous Danish territory, but it's also NATO's eyes and ears in the Arctic. It controls the shipping lanes, the flight paths over the pole. Thule Air Base is indispensable for missile defense.
It's the choke point for the entire North Atlantic. And lately, there have been some, let's say, loud suggestions about who should be in charge of it.
You're talking about the comments from former U.S. President Donald Trump.
Right. In December 2025, he revisited his old idea about the U.S. buying Greenland, but this time he took it a step further.
This was the statement directed at Norway's prime minister, but the subject was Greenland.
Yes, and he was reported as saying that the Arctic wouldn't be truly secure until Greenland was under U.S. control.
Under U.S. control. That's not subtle.
No, it's aggressive. And for Copenhagen, that's a signal that a very powerful part of the American political system sees their sovereignty over Greenland as, well, as a temporary inconvenience.
Okay, so connect the dots. In December, you get this very pointed statement. Tensions go way up. And then just a few weeks later, Danish intelligence bans Bluetooth, citing a threat from the U.S.
It paints a very clear picture, doesn't it? If you're Denmark, you're now worried the U.S. isn't just watching from satellites. You're worried they're trying to get leverage for a negotiation. And how do you get leverage?
You listen in on the private conversations of the diplomats and generals.
Exactly. You find out what their red lines are, what they're really afraid of. And this is where the short-range nature of Bluetooth becomes a feature for a spy, not a bug.
Right. Hacking a server in Copenhagen from the U.S. is hard. It leaves a trail.
But if you just have an operative sitting in a coffee shop next to the ministry, or a sub off the coast of Nuuk with what the directive calls advanced antenna systems,
you just need to be close enough to catch the radio wave.
That's it. We're not talking about a guy with a laptop here. We're talking about high-gain antennas that can pick up a tiny Bluetooth signal from hundreds of meters away, maybe more. The fast pair flaw becomes the open door, and the antenna becomes the tool to walk right through it.
A silent, untraceable way to just pluck audio right out of the air.
That's the nightmare scenario. No logs, no network intrusion, just data leaking into the ether.
This feels like a turning point. We've seen allies spying on each other before, but this kind of response, literally ripping the tech out of the walls, that feels different.
I think you just hit on the third layer here. This idea of digital sovereignty. It's been a buzzword in Europe for years, but this event makes it painfully real.
They're realizing their entire government runs on American technology. It's not just the Bluetooth chip, is it?
Not even close. Let's say you successfully ban Bluetooth. Great. But what operating system is the phone running? It's iOS or Android. Who runs the cloud servers where the police reports are stored? Amazon or Microsoft?
It's all U.S. tech.
All of it. The commentary on radar.dk called this a security paradox. By shutting down Bluetooth, you're closing a window, but the front door is still wide open. Your data is still flowing through an operating system that is subject to U.S. law.
So they're trying to build a fortress, but the bricks are rented from the very people they're trying to keep out.
That's the trap. They want digital independence, but the cost and time it would take to build a purely European tech stack from the ground up it's astronomical. So they're stuck.
And while all this is happening, there are real people being affected. We joked about tripping over wires, but there was a detail about medical devices that really got me.
The unintended consequences. The order was a blanket kill switch. Disable Bluetooth. Period. It didn't say except for.
And that includes hearing aids.
Yes. Modern hearing aids are these incredible little computers. They use Bluetooth to connect to your phone so you can calibrate them, focus them on a specific voice in a loud room.
So if you're a Danish police officer with hearing loss,
you're in an impossible situation. Do you violate a national security order to keep your hearing aids on? Or do you turn them off and find yourself unable to do your job properly?
That's a brutal choice. Compromise security or give up your ability to hear.
And there's no official exemption yet. It just shows how deeply this consumer tech is embedded in our lives now. For some people, it's not a convenience, it's a medical necessity.
It really underlines the sheer panic behind this decision. They were willing to disrupt essential accessibility services for their own people.
They view this leak as an existential threat. They think the future of Greenland is on the line, and they are willing to accept almost any internal disruption to plug that hole.
So let's just pull this all together. We start with a convenience feature, Fast Pair, that turns out to be a massive surveillance vulnerability.
A classic case of making something so frictionless that you remove the friction that kept you safe.
Then we have this geopolitical drama in the Arctic, with Denmark caught between its greatest ally and its own sovereignty.
Trying to hold on to a critical piece of territory while your so-called protector starts acting more like a predator.
And it all lands on this impossible problem of digital sovereignty. You can turn off the Bluetooth radio, but you can't escape the American tech ecosystem you live in.
Which leaves us, with a pretty uncomfortable question. If a country like Denmark, with all its resources and intelligence agencies, if they can't secure a simple Bluetooth connection,
what chance do the rest of us have?
Exactly. We're all just walking around with these little beacons in our pockets, trading our privacy for the convenience of not having to untangle a wire.
And usually the cost just feels like, creepy targeted ads. But this shows the stakes can be so much higher. It definitely makes me look at that little blue icon on my phone very differently.
Maybe toggle it off for the drive home.
I think I will. Maybe it's time to bring back the O cord.
Old school. I like it. Who knows, maybe physical media is the only safe harbor left.
That's our deep dive for this week. We'll be back next time with another story that will probably make you just a little more paranoid about the future.
Stay safe.
And check your settings. Talk to you later.